Hi everyone, I'm Ashley and this is a day in my life as a full-time artist. This particular morning I got up and out the door earlier than normal because I had to drop my dogs Max and Wookie off at the groomers. My husband and I recently bought an old 1920s farmhouse with our partner Jamie, so that was my first stop after dropping the dogs off. This house is just 2 houses down from the 1912 farmhouse that we restored in 2018. And it'll make a great addition to our vacation rentals. We are partnering with Jamie and his brother Eric to document the work on their Perkins Builder Brothers channel. And there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm really excited to have a new project like this. This is Jason, and he is definitely a trooper for spending the day under the house to remove all of the rock and debris. He also found a large animal hole, and I was curious to see what kind of animal it was, so I set up a camera. Now I just have to figure out how to catch this cute little thing. There's all kinds of interior and exterior work being done, but we really hope that this will be about a 3 to 4 week project. After checking in with my husband and making some lists, I headed to the store, and it's always a weird feeling to arrive without my dog in tow. We are calling the new farmhouse the Pine Cottage, and with it fresh in my mind, I sat down to add to my list of things that I already knew needed to be done. I also added 2 bullet points at the bottom to see if Jamie and Brett would actually read my list, and later when I checked, both have been checked off, so success. I had just gotten these new labels in the mail for a set of rainbow cards that I had printed, so my first project of the day was applying the labels to the packs of cards. I had already folded and packaged all the cards, so it just needed the label and the final pricing for these packs. Each pack consists of 6 blank note cards and envelopes, and I love how all the colors of the cards look together. I spend a lot of time during the day talking to customers. Being in a tourist town, people always have questions about my art, the town, and things to do. It's also funny because our friend and partner Jamie and his brother Eric are a pretty big deal in our town. Their YouTube channel, Perkins Builder Brothers, is really popular and people come from all over because of them. I once had a guy come in my store to give Jamie a box of hot sauce that he had brought all the way from England. This is the new art print that I finished in my last episode. I just got it back from the printers and I was able to get it trimmed and packaged and entered into inventory for the store. A little after 11, I got a message from Valerie, my dog's groomer, that the dogs were almost ready for pickup. She's located about 5 minutes away, so it's easy just to close the store for a few minutes and pick the dogs up. When I got to the groomer, the dogs were super excited to see me. Wookie, as usual, had a lot to say and a lot to tell me. Max, on the other hand, is so funny, he just bailed. I took both of the dogs back to the store with me, which I don't always do. Wookie always knows the drill, but Max still needs a little bit of coaxing. Sometimes I think Max would rather stay at home, but I'm always still trying to get him to be a store dog. I even installed that little retractable baby gate just for him, because he's always just trying to leave the store. I got the dogs some fresh water and put my apron on to try and finally get some actual art started. Some days are obviously more productive than others because then Max just kept standing by the gate, so I figured he probably needed to go potty. Max and I walked down the street to the bakery where my friends Molly and Maggie were set up for an Artisan Market. My friend Molly has a charm bar where you can make your own jewelry, and my friend Maggie makes the most amazing clay wall hangings and pottery. Molly is Good Golly Gal on social media channels, and Maggie is Centered Stone Studio if you'd like to check them out. Max was just over everything and he was ready to leave, so I picked up some lunch and we headed back to the store. Unfortunately, Wookie can be a little bit of a bully to Max, and she'll take over his side of the nook, and it kind of makes him not feel like he has a place. She only does that when he's at the store, though. I was also suspecting that she was stealing his bone and treat, so I decided to set up a camera on them for a while. Half the time in this video, though, they are begging for chicken from my lunch. And yes, she did steal his bone, and she ate it as quickly as possible. After lunch, I still had more prints to trim and package, so I was able to get that knocked out. While I was doing that, the editor of the local Smoky Mountain Times newspaper stopped by and asked if she could interview me for an artist feature. So that took up about 30 minutes, and when she left, I got back to prints and restocking. I had some mail show up, so I unboxed that, and then I was happy to see that these little lucite signs arrived that I had ordered. It was an Etsy sale for them, and I wish the seller had sent me a proof before printing because the font sizes are not what I would have approved, but I think they'll work for now. I feel like every video needs a guest dog feature, so customer dog of the day, this is Izzy, and she's adorable. I went to water my snake plants in the window, and one of them had flowers forming on it, which can apparently be a sign of stress. A local named Robert, who seems to know a lot about planet-ending solar cycles, told me that my snake plant could also be suffering from the strength of the sun activity. So it might not be stress, it could also be the apocalypse, but he said we won't know until Tuesday. Around 3 p.m., I was finally able to start working on some actual painting. I had a photo reference. Oh, well, here I'm scarfing down a tiramisu, but I had a photo reference for a great horned owl that I wanted to paint for the day. I sped this time lapse up a lot, but I painted this owl over about a span of 2 hours. It was a very watery, muddy palette that I used, and my goal was to stay as loose as possible and paint him from start to finish without too much calculation and thought. I think the great horned owl is such a quintessential owl because they look so wise. I know they also symbolize intuition and protection in many cultures. It had been raining on and off all day, but despite the stormy weather, there was a fairly steady stream of customers in the store throughout the day. As the day was nearing an end, I decided to pull out some canvases that I was trying to build up color on. This is always a good project for the end of the day because once I put them in the drying racks, they have about 12 hours to dry. I started to clean up the store and I ended up having a few more customers straggle in, but then it was time to go home. It ended up being about a 9-hour day in the store, minus all my breaks and picking up the dogs. Every day is different as an artist, so thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for the next episode.